Today is December 8th. It's just summarizing the December 8th TRT report. As always, it's a great pleasure to be here just to summarize the world rice market and give some thoughts. Of course, I've been traveling, living actually part-time to full-time in Asia the last 3, 4 months. In Vietnam today, Philippines earlier this week, and just very, very active market. We would think the market would start to slow down towards Christmas, but it is not. In fact, just the opposite. A lot of activity, a lot of people trying to push the market up pre-Christmas. While at the same time, there is a vast number of people that have sold the Philippines, have cargoes for the Philippines, have deposit puts down the Philippines, and have no chance whatsoever to actually do the Philippines. So, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of concerns happening as we move forward. But that's the biggest thing. I think you're going to have more distressed cargo than we've ever seen ever. There's only going to be, if the Philippines decides to buy the 300,000 for January, that'll get decided, I would guess, in the next 2 weeks. But that means vessels coming in around the 7th of January. Not much of a chance for much of any quantity, even if that does occur, if that's not pushed into the February allocation. But there's a complete lack of understanding that the Philippine ban will continue throughout the year, that these allocations are exceptions to the ban, that it's going to be very regulated, very managed between the trade and the government, that the grower price is extremely important as long as the consumer price is as well. And so it's going to be a very much a balance, to say the very, very least, as we move forward. But I worry about the Philippine trade, or the Thai trade, or excuse me, the Viet trade especially, because if you look, September, October, November, they're down 400,000. They're half, because of course the Philippines is half their trade, and they are suffering. Yeah, everybody thinks the market's okay, and they're, oh, we're good. The prices have stayed high, and they're about ready to crater. The 300,000 to the Philippines will do nothing, and I mean almost nothing, to solve the issue, because I think there's 1.5 million tons that think are traded. And so there's going to be so much cargo that doesn't have a home, so much distressed cargo. I think it's going to be leg on the market for at least 3 months. And just because the Philippines has said that, the Secretary of Ag put out a very in-depth press release saying we're going to buy much lower in the first quarter. You can expect that. We're not going to take high prices people think that we have to buy. He could go into his stocks. The Philippines does carry a strong 20% stock to use ratio, 3 to 4 million tons. So he doesn't have to buy the huge amount that everybody thinks. Could be. But he does need to buy at some point, of course. But it could be very quiet or slow buying, or very G to G type of things. We'll see what happens. But I would be very, very concerned if I were in the market. These people that have been saying, "Oh, China's in the market." China has 100+ million stocks. The one reason they're in the market is because it's cheap, and they really don't need to be buying. They should be exporting. In fact, they are exporting 1.3, but they're going to, like last year, buy 2.9 million tons. So again, the net's not even that much. It's only about a 1.6 million ton net. So that's the biggest news. I mean, I would say in the week, the prices were kind of off. They were up last week when we were off, and down this week. Definitely should be down much higher, much more. I mean, everybody knows the market's going down. They're trying to talk it up, saying China's buying, Iraq's buying, but it is just a fluffy piece, and it's going to come down to who's got the business. And this is within the midst of major issues of uh, India hasn't even opened up. India is really focused on the MSP. They're focused on their internal subsidies, and this will move very, very quickly into February, where they have to then focus upon exports. Hats off to Pakistan. Pakistan, I think, is being one of the smartest. They're staying cheap. They're selling aggressively, trying to get as much sold before India comes back to the market in February. And I try to get October, November, December, January just off to a massive start. And I think you're going to be very surprised to see how strong their exports have been, because they've kept to the strategy. And it's a smart one. We're going to be cheap. We're going to sell cheap. We're going to indicate when things go lower. And there are lower prices from India and everybody in the market. 320 is the low 5% price I've heard. So there just is a lot of those type of things going on. But the Indians have 46.5 million tons carried into the market. I mean, they have nearly the whole world trade. World trade's about 60, so 75% of world trade being carried into the market. I mean, it's just such a massive oversupply, and we just saw that in the TRT this week. We do have some updates. I mean, I go through Indonesia had a quick update I put in. I do have new data for the VIETs through November. And so it's just active. We do a monthly update in the US, finally getting some data in after the leg. And of course, the monthly November numbers finally came in from USDA. We also have the press release for the Secretary of Ag talking about his imports in the TRT. That's definitely worth looking at. I do just kind of a rundown of the Philippines as well, their plus and minus based upon importing. So just a lot in the rice trader this week. There is a special as well for Colombia, and I would just watch that as well. So just a lot going on in this market, a lot happening overall, a lot of question marks of who gets business because there's going to be have and have nots like we've not seen in years. And I think you're going to see companies fall and the new or old companies grow. So it's going to be a fascinating market. So with that, I think I've given a good summary. We, of course, will be putting out the publication here just in a few minutes, along with continue to give the daily to you and just to doing our best to help our clients. With that, we thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking to you next week. This is Jeremy Zinger, the Race Trader, signing out.